Hi everyone, it's Mr. Zimmerman, and today we're going to look at the lesson for section 3-5. And what we want to note is this statement that says if we have variables and numbers on both sides of the inequality, we want to use addition or subtraction to get the variables on one side and the numbers on the other, and then we'll solve from there. So let's take a look at example 1. You can see that I have the variable y on the right-hand side of the inequality. I have 4y, and on the left-hand side of the inequality, I have 1y. So I'm going to use subtraction to get all the variables on the same side. I'll subtract 4y on the right-hand side, and I'll also subtract 4y on the left-hand side of the inequality. Well, these will cancel out and make 0. 4y minus 4y, that's 0. And then on the left-hand side, I have 1y, take away 4y. Well, that would give me a negative 3y. And then I'll bring down my inequality, which is a less than or equal to. And all I have left on my right-hand side is a positive 18. And then I'll divide both sides by negative 3. So I divide by both sides by whatever numbers in front of the variable. Negative 3 divided by negative 3, that's 1, so that cancels out. So now I get y on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, I've got 18 divided by negative 3, which is negative 6. And then because I divided both sides by a negative number, I need to flip the direction or reverse or switch the direction of my inequality. So it was a less than or equal to, now it's going to be a greater than or equal to. So there's my first solution. Now we need to graph it. So we're going to put negative 6 on our number line here somewhere. So there's my negative 6. And then I do have an equal to bar here, so when I have the equal to bar, I know that I'm going to do a solid circle at negative 6. And since I have my variable written on the left-hand side, then the direction that this inequality is pointing is the direction that I shade. So I'm going to shade to the right. Now let's take a look at example 2. Again, I can see that I have variables. I have a 4m on the left side of the inequality, and I have a 2m on the right-hand side of the inequality. And I want to use addition or subtraction to get the variables or the terms containing the variable m all on the same side. So for this one, I'm going to subtract 2m on both sides. And the 2m minus 2m on the right-hand side will cancel out and make 0. So now on the left-hand side, I've got 4m's, take away 2m's. That leaves me with 2m's minus 3. Bring down my inequality symbol, which is a less than, and I have a positive 6 on the right-hand side. Well, now we're back to just a two-step inequality. So then I'm going to add 3 on both sides. Those 3's will, the negative 3 and positive 3 will cancel out and make 0. So now all I have left on the left-hand side of my inequality is 2m. And bring down my inequality, and on the right-hand side I have 9. From there, I need to, well, the opposite of multiplying by 2 would be to divide by 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2 to get that m by itself. And that's going to give me, well, these 2's will cancel out and make a 1. So I'm going to get a solution of m is less than, well, you could use 9 over 2. But if you do 9 divided by 2 in your calculator, that's the same thing as 4.5 or 4.5. So there's my solution for number 2. Now we just have to graph it. To graph this one, I'm going to put 9 over 2 on my number line. So there's my 9 over 2. I do not have an equal to bar on my inequality, so I will make an open circle. And since my variable's on the left and my inequality is pointing to the left, I will shade to the left. So now I know that any number to the left of 4.5, any real number to the left of 4.5 would be a solution to our original inequality. Now let's take a look at number 3. The first thing I'm going to do with number 3 is I'm going to go ahead and distribute on the left-hand side of the inequality. So I've got a positive 2 times a positive k, so that's 2k. And then I got a positive 2 times a negative 3, that's a negative 6. And then I bring down my inequality symbol, and then I think you can see that on the right-hand side, I can combine these two like terms. So the 6 and the minus 3. So I'm going to bring down the positive 3k. Again, that 3k is positive because of that addition symbol out in front of it. So I'm going to bring down my 3k, and then I'm going to go ahead and combine the positive 6 minus 3. Well, that's going to give me a positive 3. At this point, I want to get all my terms with the variable k on the same side using addition or subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 2k on both sides. And these will cancel out. 2k minus 2k on the left-hand side cancels out. So all I have left on the left side of my inequality is negative 6. Bring down my inequality symbol. Then I have 3k's, take away 2k's. That leaves me with 1k, or just k. And then I'm going to bring down the positive 3, so plus 3. Now I still have to get the k all by itself here on the right-hand side of my inequality. So I'm going to use subtraction again. So I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides. 3 minus 3 is 0. That cancels out on the right-hand side. All I have on the left-hand side of my inequality is negative 6, take away 3 more. Well, that's negative 9. And I'm going to bring down my inequality symbol, which is a greater than. And all I have left on the right-hand side is k. Now, normally, again, we don't like to write these with the variable on the right-hand side. So I'm going to write the k on the left-hand side. I'm going to write the negative 9 on the right-hand side. And remember now, all we're doing is rewriting here. We're really not flipping it. We're just rewriting it so that the variable's on the left. And you can see right now that the inequality symbol is pointing towards the k. So when I rewrite it, I got to make sure that it's still pointing towards the k. So there's my solution for number 3. And now we have to graph it. I'll put negative 9 on my number line. And this one, the inequality symbol does not have an equal to bar on it. So we're going to make an open circle at negative 9. And the variable's on the left. And we can see that the inequality symbol is pointing towards the left. So we're going to go ahead and shade to the left. So the solutions are all the real numbers k that are to the left of or less than negative 9. Now let's look at example 4. So I'm going to distribute on the left side of the inequality, and I'm also going to distribute on the right-hand side of the inequality. I get positive 5 times positive 2 is 10. And then a positive 5 times a negative r would be a negative 5r. Bring down my inequality symbol, which is a greater than or equal to. Then I'm going to do a positive 3 times positive r, which is 3r. And then I'm going to do a positive 3 times a negative 2, which is a negative 6. All right. From there, I need to use addition or subtraction to get the terms with the variable r on the same side. So I'm going to add 5r on both sides. They cancel out on the left-hand side. So all I have left on the left-hand side of my inequality is 10. Bring down my inequality symbol, which is greater than or equal to. And on the right-hand side, now I have 3r's plus 5r's. That gives me 8r's. And then bring down the minus 6. From there, we're down to a two-step inequality now. So we're just going to add 6 on both sides. And on the left-hand side, we now have 16 is greater than or equal to. On the right-hand side, the negative 6 and positive 6 cancel out and make 0. And all I have left on the right-hand side is 8r. Now I'm just going to divide both sides by whatever number's in front of the variable. And I'm going to get 2 on the left-hand side of the inequality. Bring down my inequality symbol, and the 8's will cancel. 8 divided by 8, that is a 1. So I get 1r on the right-hand side, or just r. But again, we don't like to leave these with the variable on the right-hand side. So I am going to rewrite this. I'm going to put the r on the left-hand side, and I'm going to put the 2 on the right-hand side. And again, we can see that the inequality is pointing towards the r. So when I rewrite this, it still has to be pointing towards the r, and it becomes a less than or equal to. Well, there's our solution for number 4. Now we just have to graph it. So we're going to put 2 on our number line here. So there's 2. We can see that we have an equal to bar, so that means it's going to be the solid circle. And with our variable on the left, we can see that our inequality is pointing to the left, so we're going to shade to the left. And that completes number 4. Well, let's move on to number 5. So on number 5, we have a 2x on the left side of the inequality, and we have a 2x on the right side of the inequality. Well, if we're going to use addition or subtraction to get the terms containing x on the same side, I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides. So I'm going to subtract 2x on the left side, and I'm going to subtract 2x on the right side. But wait a minute, they cancel out and make 0 on the left and on the right. So now all I have left, if I bring down my left-hand side, is negative 7 is less than or equal to 5. And I think you guys can see that that is true. So we're in that case like we were in chapter 2, where the variables dropped out. There are no variables left in this inequality, but we get a true inequality. Well, if it's true, that means you can put in any number you want for x and into the original inequality, and it'll make a true statement. Well, that means there would be infinitely many solutions, if you want to think of it that way. So you could have x is any real number, and it would be a solution to the original inequality. So some of you will probably write this symbol right here for the real numbers, or a lot of times in my class I'll have my students write IMS for infinitely many solutions. The interesting thing now is if you're going to graph this on the number line, is that any number will be a solution for x. So you have to shade in the entire number line. So the way to do that would be, I'm just going to shade this in and put some arrows on there to the right and to the left. Because I can pick any number for x, and it will be a solution to the original inequality. Let's look at number 6. I'm going to distribute on the left-hand side of the inequality and also on the right-hand side of the inequality. So I have a positive 2 times a positive 3y. That'll give me 6y. Then I have a positive 2 times a negative 2. That'll give me a negative 4. Then I'm going to bring down the minus 4. Then I'll bring down my inequality symbol. Then I'm going to distribute on the right-hand side. So I got positive 3 times positive 2y. That's 6y. And then I'm going to do a positive 3 times a positive 7. That is a positive 21. From there, I could combine like terms right here. So on the left-hand side, I'll have 6y. Negative 4, take away 4 more is negative 8. And that's going to be greater than or equal to 6y plus 21, just bringing everything else down. Well, again, I have the variable y on both sides of the inequality, so I have to use addition or subtraction to get the terms containing y on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 6y on both sides. But again, those cancel out and make 0 on both the left and right side. Well, if I cancel those out, all I have left remaining on the left-hand side is 0 minus 8, which is negative 8. And that, I'll bring down my inequality symbol, is greater than or equal to. And on the right-hand side, I have 0 plus 21, which is 21. I end up with an inequality that says negative 8 is greater than or equal to 21. This statement is false. So just kind of like what you had in chapter 2, if you end up with a false statement, then there is no solution. So we could write no solution, meaning there is no real number y, that when you plug it into the original inequality, there is no y that'll make that original inequality true. So there's no solution. Or some of you would probably write this symbol right here. That's no solution. And if you were going to graph this one, well, since there's no solutions to graph, you don't graph anything on the number line. You just leave the number line like it is. Just leave it alone. Well, that wraps up number 6. Now we just got to get a story problem done here, and we'll be all set with section 3-5. Let's read number 7. It says that the home cleaning company charges you $312 up front plus $12 per window. And when you see that word per or $12 for each window, you know that means multiply. So what we have is $312 that we pay up front plus 12 times the number of windows. I noted that W in this problem stands for the number of windows. Then number 7 says that Power Clean charges just $36 per window. That's how they base their charges, by how many windows your house has. Then the question is, how many windows would a house have to make home cleaning company less expensive? I rewrote this so I'd have a little bit more room. So what we have on the left-hand side of our inequality is an expression for what it costs for the home cleaning company to power wash your house. On the right side of my inequality, I'm going to write the expression for Power Clean. Well, they just charge 36 per window, so that's 36 times W. I've labeled the right-hand side for the cost for Power Clean. Again, $36 for each window. And then we have to answer the question. So the question says, how many windows would a house have to make home cleaning company less expensive? So we want to note this right here, that we want home cleaning company to be less. So we make home cleaning company less than Power Clean. So there's our inequality. We just have to solve it. So again, we need to get the terms containing W on the same side. So we're going to subtract 12W on each side of our inequality. And that's going to give us, well, on the left-hand side, the 12W minus 12W, that's 0, that cancels out. So all I have left on the left-hand side is 312. And what I have on the right side of my inequality is 36W minus 12W. That would be 24W. Then we'll divide both sides by the number out in front of the variable. So we'll divide both sides by 24. And let's see, I'll come over here. And what we'll get is, on the left-hand side, 312 divided by 24, that's 13. And bring down our inequality symbol, which is a less than. On the right-hand side, the 24 divided by 24, that cancels out and makes 1W. Now again, we normally like to write these expressions or the solution to this inequality with the W on the left-hand side and the 13 on the right-hand side. So if we do that again, note that our inequality symbol is pointing towards the 13. So when I rewrite it, I'm still going to have it pointing towards the 13. So there's our solution right here. And what that means is that if we're going to have a house with more than 13 windows, that will make the home cleaning company less expensive. All right, so if you had a house with less than 13 windows, you would go with the Power Clean company. Well, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in class soon. Bye.